There we go. Okay, so next section is talking about the total cost of labor. So they're saying what the business has to pay if you have a full-time employee. Now this is one of the things that you gotta honestly think about. There's a lot of situations where some people, and now I'm going in two different little tangents here, but there's a lot of different situations where the actual full week of working has kind of changed. Most of the time you always thought of it as a 40-hour week. But I think some people are pushing, or some people kind of went to like a 32-hour week. So the ones that are in 40-hour weeks, how they get by with not doing some of these things that we're going to talk about is to basically say that that person's not full-time and push the limit and say that they're only going to work 39 hours a week. And if you get to 39 hours a week, they take you out and send them home. But then they don't have to do some of these benefits. And as we... Yeah. So... Right. So then, you think about all the things that we're going to talk about, but just the things that we've already talked about. You think about insurance, right? Remember what I told you about the insurance? When I'm going to switch jobs and have that little leeway, I have to find that. Well, you can't just do that short-term continuously over and over and re-up. You'd actually have to get an individual account. And an individual policy is out of this world right now. Okay? Or you have one, but you really can't use it ever because it's so expensive. So them not giving the group plan for insurance is a huge thing. You know what I mean? So what they're talking about here for the benefits, obviously, we've already talked about the people have to pay, or the companies have to pay for each of their full-time employees the Medicare tax completely. So they got to match whatever Medicare tax that you pay, they match it. Then you also have to, again, if you're the employer, match the Social Security tax up to $102,000. Now, this is where I believe, and I think it says this throughout or deeper into the chapter. Let's just say that you had your normal job and then you went and unfortunately, if you were making $102,000 for yourselves, you probably wouldn't think about having a second job. But if you needed that second job, it's a grand total of $102,000. So you don't have to do it at two different places. So if you reach that $102,000 platform, then you're done everywhere after that, if you would happen to have 2 or 3 jobs, okay? So every employee the company has also then has to pay, as we just talked about, this FUTA tax, which is the Federal Unemployment Tax Act, which is a tax on the first $7,000 for each employee. And that tax, they should tell you what that percentage is. And as we saw in that one example, it was 0.8%. So realistically, it's not that bad. But again, if you have 10,000 employees, it's going to end up being pretty bad, okay? And then they have a SUTA tax, which again is the state version of that. And if you would go through, these taxes pay workers who are temporarily unemployed. So, like some of the construction people around here, they'll take off a couple of months because they won't either go down south or they just can't work outside to do their construction. So they would apply for unemployment. And that would be something like that. So what are other benefits that you would either think about paying your employees or you would hope that you would get if you were an employee?
Vacation.
Okay, vacation time maybe.
Health insurance.
Health insurance, we've already talked about. Sick days, right? So is it going to be a one big pool for all those things? Or is it going to be broken down? Like at school here, we get sick days, and then we get bereavement. You know what that means? Somebody passes away. So if they're in your immediate family, you get, I think it's 3 days that you can use. And then those sick days, though, going back to them, if you're a parent and it's your child, you can use those as a part of your sick days. We already talked about the time off when you have a baby, right? Maternity leave, but they do call it paternity leave too. So the dads can still get it now too, okay? What else? What did we talk about? Little things that maybe were benefits.
Parking.
Parking was a big one, right? What else?
Sometimes, like, if you work at Apple, they give you a free MacBook.
Okay, so some either tools or just, maybe even at a school, right? You can use your laptop wherever you wanted to. Okay, that's a big thing. Extra benefits then. Notice down at the bottom one, company car. We've already talked about that too. You just got to be careful about where and how much you can use that, right? You just have to know your stipulations. Or if you're the company, you make sure that you have those stipulations, right? Where can you drive that? When can you drive that? How much can you drive that? Okay. Tuition reimbursement. What's that mean for you? That's where Dill's going to get some money from the Air Force. But tuition reimbursement, we get, I think, every year or so, I think you get $150 a year for taking classes. Okay? Doesn't seem like that much, but it's a nice benefit. Okay? Childcare is a really big one nowadays. Some companies even have their own child daycare. Paid parking, like Carson said, we talked about that a little bit the other day. Employee discounts, so maybe if they don't give you that MacBook or that iPad or whatever, at least they give you a substantial discount. Do you get discount off an ice cream? Yeah? Free ice cream?
Unless you use a 50% discount.
Okay.
Well,
So you can use 50% discount. All right. And then they have up here legal services. So if you would, have some kind of gripe, the union would help you out in some of those cases. So basically what they're going to have us try to do is figure out what that cost is for a full-time employee. For a part-time employee, again, this is, back in the day, it was definitely less than 40 hours a week. But basically, you would only get the benefits that were required by law. You wouldn't get any of those extra things. And again, so that's where some companies started to say, okay, we're going to cut you off at 39 hours. That's where then the labor unions kind of came back with, okay, if they're going to start doing that, that's kind of BS, right? So then the labor unions pushed to, okay, then we consider full-time people at 32 hours. So even though you were only going 32 to 40, you still get the benefits. You just didn't get that, extra amount of money. So that's how labor unions came back to that thought process, trying to avoid them being sneaky.
Kind of people.
Yeah. Okay. So then, obviously then most companies would say, well, if I got to pay them at 32 hours, I might as well make them work till 40. You know what I mean? And get those extra 8 hours. Okay. But basically the part-time, when you get to the part-time parts, it's pretty much the exact same math. You just don't have to do some of the extra things. Okay. So let's look at a couple and then you can have the rest of the time. So I think the first one is on page 484. Tech Power pays its employees an average of $540 a week. It also provides these benefits at no cost to the employees. Medical insurance worth $73 a week, life insurance worth $280 a week, and a pension plan contribution equal to 3% of the wages. FICA taxes of 7.6% and unemployment taxes of 4.7% of wages are paid by Tech Power. What is the average cost of the benefits of one employee for 1 week? So when they talk about the FICA taxes and the unemployment taxes, that's kind of what Carson was talking about, where they're matching what you've already paying. Okay, so the first thing what would I do or what numbers would I use to find my FICA tax that the employee the employer is going to match. Obviously, they told you the FICA taxes percent was 7.65%, right? So I'm gonna use that percentage, but in this problem, remember, I'm going to, take my decimal and move it 2 places. So I'm gonna take that FICA tax percentage times what?
540.
Yeah, 540 and get an answer.
$41.31.
41.30 what?
31.
31. And then what was the unemployment tax rate? 0.047. And then don't forget, do not go back and subtract it. Just go and use that first number. So we get what here?
25.38.
25.38. And then what were the other ones that they just said that they give us?
Medical, $73.07 a week.
73.70.
73.07.
Okay. Next one.
Life insurance for $2.80 a week,
Okay.
and a pension plan contribution equal to 3% of wages.
Okay, so 3% of wages, we gotta come back up here again, right? So 0.03, right?
Yep.
1, 2 times 540 is 1620. So add up all those, and that's what the employer, the company, has to pay for one employee per week. $158.76. Okay, so think about that right there, right? If you want to be a business owner, that's what you have to pay for one full-time employee. So let's just say, again, if we make it simple, if we're a small business, we probably don't have too many employees, but let's say that's times 20. What's 158 times 20? So you're talking a little over $3,100 a week that you're paying in basically taxes. Okay. In letter B, they basically just do it a little different. So the total wages by Rizzo Restaurant is $10,350 in the second week. Total benefits paid to the employers were 32% of the wages. What was the total cost of the labor? So when they say total cost, you're including the salary part of it or what they're doing and the benefits. So in this one, you would take it times 0.32, get your answer, and then take that answer and add it back to your 10,000.
Yes, sir.
So it's basically the same thing, it's just a little different way of doing it. So in letter C and D, we're talking about our part-time employees. A restaurant pays Carrie $7.90 an hour and gives her a daily $3.10 meal allowance. Taxes paid by the restaurant include 7.65% FICA and 5.1 unemployment. What is the maximum amount the restaurant will spend for Carrie's benefits if she works 7 hours a day, 4 days a week? So, first thing first, I gotta decide or figure out is what in this problem.
How much she makes.
How much she's gonna make in one day, right?
Yeah.
So, how much is she gonna make in one day? Well, $7.90 times what? 7 hours?
Yep, $55.30.
$55.30. Now, what do I have to add to that?
You can multiply.
Nope, what do I have to add to just that number right there?
310.
310, right? Because she gets the meal money. So $3.10. So we get a grand total of $58.40, right? Now, what do I do with $58.40?
You get the taxes.
Oh wait, are we doing this for one day or are we doing it for all 4 of the days?
What is the maximum amount of restaurant spend? She works 7 hours a day.
So let's take this times 4, right? Because we want to do it for the entire week.
Yep.
So $233.60.
Yep.
Okay. Now, what else?
Then you have to take the taxes.
Yeah, then you're gonna do the taxes, but don't, my bad. The meal is an extra benefit. So we really want to take this off and we'll add in the 310 later.
Okay.
So now we gotta redo our math. So we wanna do this times 4 and then do your 2 taxes. So we do this times 4, 12, 221, and now we're going to do that times, what were our 2 things? FICA is still stays the same, I would guess, and then we're gonna do 221.20 times, what was the unemployment for this one?
5.1, so 0.05.
Okay? So you're gonna do those 2 and get an answer here, and then you'll put your $3.10 on. Okay? But when you do the $3.10, you gotta remember that I also have to do what to the $3.10?
Times Y.
Yeah, I gotta do it for the number of days that we're going to work, right? So 0 for $12.40 plus my 2 groups of taxes. Did you get those numbers? First one should have been $16.92. Second one should have been
11.
$11.28, and then you're going to add those 3 things together, and that would be the grand total,
$40.60.
$40.60. So even for a part-time worker, it's still going to cost you. Okay. So questions here? Do we need to go through D? We can go through it if you need it. Okay. That one they could just kind of do the same thing and bundle the benefits into a percentage instead of figuring it out individually. Okay? So again, it's kind of interesting to me, and again, I would have never kind of thought about this, even being a part of a restaurant for a while, that were the certain things that I had to pay as the employer, right? So that's kind of the interesting.